All right, welcome everybody back once again to the PCS Spring Split 2022. We are 2 games in and we got 4 more to play today. It has been a lot of action already and some very quick finishes. I'm still Pyrotechnics, he is still Clement, and of course our wonderful sponsors. You can see them at the bottom of your screen, RCTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now Clement, we have got another CFO matchup here, and they're going up against the likes of Impunity, who are still in the hunt for their first win, and ooh, it's going to be a tough opponent to try and find it against.
Yeah, it definitely is. So far, Impunity are 0-3, dropping all of their games in Week 1. But I will say there are glimmers of hope in this roster. They actually were able to drag the games out to always past 30 minutes, even against tough opposition. We saw that against J-Team, and we saw that against Frank Esports as well. So I think they are, they're still not winning, but they're losing games very differently to how they were losing games in 2021 summer. The previous split, the games were over by 15 minutes. It was just done and dusted. There's no laning phase, and they just kind of went home. But this time around, they're actually hanging very close. I like their macro. Their coordination is pretty decent. They're very clean in their gameplay. However, when it comes to making progressive plays and keeping themselves from trouble, especially around the mid-game, they haven't really been able to do that. I think the reason that they've lost most of their games is because they just get picked out randomly on the map right before the Baron spawns, and things go awry from there. So I think their errors are relatively easy to fix. It's just about what their strengths are actually are. They haven't really showcased their strengths. There haven't been a lot of errors or egregious errors, but they also haven't really wowed us yet.
Yeah, there have been a couple of bright spots on this roster. Of course, returning, we have the likes of Blaze, who I think has looked pretty decent overall, despite not winning the game. I think Quiet has had some solid performances on his own. We're still kind of waiting for this team to really step up and become either more than the sum of its parts, or to find kind of one of their players stepping out into a carry role. And I think that's the tough thing for this Impunity squad, is you called it right. They have the building blocks, and they have the start of a better team than they did last summer, when the games would just end early and things would fall apart and they wouldn't really get a whole lot done. But this squad, I feel like, can grow into a better team that can probably make it into the playoffs at the very least. We just need to see that. And unfortunately for them, this is such a tough challenge today up against the likes of CTBC Flying Oyster. But we'll see if they have the opportunity, if they have the chance to do it. I think the early game definitely seems to be where they are shining, where they are the strongest. And let's go ahead and take a look at their roster. They are Quiet in the top lane, Taco in the jungle, Faith in mid, and then the bot lane rounded out by Blaze and Kralix, who you might recognize from last summer. And this is a team that is still looking to find their identity here in the PCS Spring.
Yeah, we do see a completely revamped top side coming out for this squad, and so far I actually do like Quiet's performances quite a bit. He had a really good game against Kurt earlier on, and he has showcased that he is willing to pick up the fighter. So he's not just going to give the opposing top laner like Rest a field day. He's not just going to bend over and fold, basically. For Taco, though, he's had a very, very quiet 3 games so far. I don't think he's been able to really accelerate the game, but, again, no major flaws just yet. On the other side, we do have CTBC Flying Oyster, and the only real thing, the detriment to them, is that they are playing the second game of the day. So, maybe fatigue will kick in. I'm trying to think of good reasons to root for Impunity, but, maybe.
They had a lot of gas in the tank, I think, after that first game. They looked just so good. Again, our biggest question mark, because we know Rest, Gemini, and Mission are like a strong core trio. Our biggest question coming into the split was, how was Atlan going to look with Koala in the bottom lane? And so far, the answer is pretty damn good. But also Koala earning the MVP in that first game. We've had, it's crazy. We've had 2 games, 2 supports with the MVP on Nautilus. But let's talk about the junglers, because even though Taco's had some good plays, I mean, yeah, this isn't exactly fair.
You're doing my boy Taco dirty, man. You can't compare these. Like, it's a 3 loss, so Taco's stats are going to look terrible. I think that's kind of granted. However, I think the similarities do start with both of these players really favor the Lee Sin. Taco so far, Lee Sin only player. So it's going to be interesting to see if who's going to get the Lee Sin and what counters are there against the Lee Sin. We have seen things like the Volibear being very popular. He provides a much easier to execute stun, and he has a lot more presence as a frontline tank. I think that could be a good go-to. But overall, I think what we're looking for is really Taco to get things started a little bit earlier and maybe to give Impunity more of that oomph in the early game.
Yeah, we'll have to find out as we do enter the pick and bans. For this one, Impunity on the blue side will start by removing the Cinder and the Akali. Of course, Zeri still rocking the permaban. Zinzao taking off the board for both junglers too. Lee Sin so far still being left up. May not be first ban worthy, but well, I might be wrong as they do remove it. So Gemini nor Taco will be able to play at this game.
And I do want to say for all you Impunity fans out there, blue side so far has won 10 out of 14 games.
It's pretty big.
Actually, it's even more than that. Sorry. It's actually 12 out of 14 games. So, hey, Impunity are on blue side this time. But, to dig a little bit deeper than that, a huge reason is because red side does have to carry a lot of these uber bans here. We have seen the Zeri be almost perma-banned, and looks like the PCS is following in the LCK footsteps of just perma-banning the Renekton as well.
Ooh, first pick Tryndamere. Impunity going to come out swinging this game, Clement. Are we going to see the Hull Breaker on Quiet?
Definitely could be. Tryndamere this patch has a very surprisingly high win rate, and I think one of the reasons he's coming out here is not only is he a flex pick, the other reason is he can actually counter the Gwen quite well. So we could see this as a preemptive answer to rest basically his favorite champion in the Gwen.
That is an entire possibility here, but they have left a couple of strong jungle champions open. The Diana is going to be coming through for Gemini here. Now, looking back at what he was able to do on this champion in the summer, he was rocking an 83% win rate over 6 games on this champion just in the regular split alone. So Gemini certainly knows his way around it. And, of course, we've got an Orianna ball delivery system already established in this first round.
The Wombo combo combination here, very difficult to play against. And so far, what we've seen from Faith is he is mainly a control mage player. The Victor or the Rise, neither of these champions really fare that well against the Orianna. So, I love this 1-2 punch. This is smart. We were just talking about how Tryndamere counters the Gwen. Now you have both of best worlds. You get the Trin and you get the Gwen top as well. This could also potentially be a Gwen jungle. So there's still a lot of flexibility coming out from how Impunity wants to build this roster.
Yeah, I like this from Impunity. I mean, so far what we've seen in a lot of the drafts today have been, kind of things start to slip a little bit out of control, usually for the team on the red side, as you mentioned, really having to carry those heavy bans. Now Impunity are giving themselves some really strong picks. They also take away the Nautilus that Koala looked so good on earlier. Bot lane just hasn't really been prioed in this first phase. It's about to change as Atlan will get his hands on the Jinx. So we've kind of got a fair amount of damage on the CFO side here, and that should get locked in. Probably get swapped. I was about to say, could get swapped over for the Aphelios, and Atlan is going to opt into that one.
Now, that's a fairly interesting draft from CFO. I think they're going in line with the meta here. You get your hyper carry early, and with the Orianna and the Diana, you can actually decide whether you want to go forward, play something like a triple dive and just round out with a fighter in the top lane and engage in the jungle, or jungle in the support, or if you want to play just pure zone for Atlan. Now, looking down on CFO's roster, these guys clearly favor playing more towards their top side and their solo laners, so I do expect them to actually all in onto the Diana and get our more dive buddies. So you can see Impunity just trying to ban those engaged supports away from them, taking away the Leona. I think this is a really smart choice. I'm kind of curious how CFO will look if they actually go for the other style, which is protect Atlan. That is not really a strategy that anyone has been used to playing towards. Not when he was on with Machi, and not really with CFO from what we've seen so far either. So it's kind of an interesting juncture here where Impunity are kind of taking away the options and now forcing CFO to sort of force them to play a protect Atlan comp.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift up on the draft. So the Tom Kench does come in here. And I think CFO is just trying to wait to see, like, all right, where's this Tryndamere going to go? How do we adapt to it? You do have to trust at a certain level that, like, no matter if it's rest or mission, you're going to be able to handle it, or you're going to have to be able to handle it. Those are two very strong players on the CFO side. But we are going to finally get, well, probably our answer, as it could still shift up at the last second. With so many bot lane bans coming out, the Ezreal does fall next in line for Blaze, who I do believe played it a fair bit last split. And if this Kassadin gets locked mid, I do believe that makes it a Gwen jungle.
Ooh, this is so much fun.
The Rise. Hold on. I'll talk
so,
about diving. You can take a party portal all the way.
Yeah, we do have Impunity now with the triple dive, and
let's go.
This is a composition that, again, we have seen in the mid-game team fights. It's very difficult to kind of walk through Orianna, what she can do, and we actually saw probably Mission's best game so far being played in a relatively similar setup where he was playing the Orianna against the triple dive. They had the smoke screen, the same exact picks in the top and mid, and they were able to just dissuade the enemy team from coming in. They had to walk through this dissonance field, they had to walk through shockwave, and then there was a smoke screen. So in the mid game, CFO should have a very easy time at the Herald and at the Drake, but Impunity do have that late game that we're looking for. Remember, Impunity has the longest game time so far in the PCS. If they make it there, this is an unstoppable 1-3-1. As a Graves, you're not running away from the Tryndamere, and as an Orianna, you're not running away from the Gwen or the Rise.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun picks and a lot of really interesting choices coming out of the Impunity side. I love what they've done on their blue side pick ban. And key there, making it to the late game. It's all about that survival because they have the scaling on their side. And they've been able to pull it off even against tough teams so far. I think this is the real road test. If they can be the ones to knock CTBC Flying Oyster off their perch atop the league, that opens eyes because this team is winless. If they can turn things around, I mean, that's massive.
I feel like this draft just hits CFO on so many levels because they take away the late game scaling from this team. They make sure that Gemini is on something that is actually much more late game. Diana is not going to have as much impact in the early game. And also they force them to play more of an Atlan focused comp, which, you know, Atlan has never really been the main damage dealer on his previous teams. So, you know, this draft is so intelligent from Impunity. It checks so many boxes, but the question at the end of the day is still, can you out execute? These mid-game fights are going to be absolutely brutal, and I don't mind if Impunity don't entertain them whatsoever. I would actually rather see Impunity just stick to their lanes, you know, not really even venture for those Drakes and those first Heralds, and just try to scale up.
Try to slow the game down as much as they can. As we get off to a start, we do see some choices on the Summoner side. Of course, the Gwen rocking the Ghost in the jungle, as is Quiet's Tryndamere up top, but also Blaze with an Exhaust Ezreal. And, well, so much for slowing things down. Taco got a little bit gutsy by dashing the wall here, but he did have faith as his back.
Yeah, not really a risky move whatsoever. Just trying to check out where Diana is going to start here. I feel like for both of these teams, we're not going to see a lot of action. Their junglers really don't pack any crowd control earlier on, so no ganks whatsoever. And just looking at the lanes, that should be a slight advantage to the Orianna and the Graves earlier on. Really nicely done here by CFO clearing that ward. A thing to mention about this is if you only have 2 people joining the ward clear, you can actually hit level 2 in your solo lanes on the first wave. So that's something to pay attention to. We could be seeing a big trade here if the EXP was shared in a certain way.
Yeah, that'll be curious, as we'll have to keep track of it. As it affects things early on, does mean that there's an opportunity to try and open up a little bit more early on those lanes. Taco actually going to jump the wall and start off on the red buff here. Getting his counter jungling on early as he looks for Gemini, but there's a level advantage. That seems like a bad call.
Yeah, this is not the move from Taco here. That was extremely costly play right here because if you look at the solo lanes, both of them were actually getting pushed in, as we mentioned, and Gemini just happened to start on the Raptors. A pretty common clear that we've seen from Diana, as it does allow her to go red side, and she does have good AoE as well with her passive in that queue. So just not a very good start from Taco. Extremely risky start right there, and you just get duly punished. Ooh.
Oh boy, Koala gonna get jumped on here
They find it.
as Kralix. Once again, these Nautiluses today have just been fantastic. Blaze trying to stay alive through it, will be able to do it, has to burn his flash, all summoners down,
no.
but Impunity get first blood, Clement.
I know, that was so ridiculous on the back end of that trade. You could see Atlan with a Severum right there, able to face tank 2 level 2 champions plus a couple of minions and still come out ahead. That's, I don't think that's supposed to happen, but, you know, that's just Aphelios for you. Let's watch this
200
play
years
for
of
you.
collective game design.
This
Yeah,
is absolutely
Blaze,
ridiculous.
I love this. You could see the exact moment when Blaze goes, wait, no, I'm out.
Yeah, he did not expect the PTA there, so there was a small burst of damage. And to be fair, Blaze was actually pretty low HP, but unfortunately for Blaze, he actually loses the flash on the back end of the trade. Overall, still a win for Impunity, but, you know, could have gone a little bit better.
So Impunity are the ones that are pulling the trigger on early plays. One, very ill-advised, does not work out. The other one, costly, but still ends up with a kill in favor of the AD carry. Taco going to have a little bit of a rough time on this red buff to start things off. As you mentioned, set a little behind. He has the smite, you're right. He's okay. Back to Krugs, let's go. This time, Scissors beats Rock.
One of the few times that actually happens. You know, you wouldn't be able to pull that off with my cousins and stuff like that, but for Taco, it does work out. And we should see him just full clearing to level 6. I do expect both of these junglers to be doing that. Prolix, in the meantime, I wonder what he's trying to do here. It's kind of an interesting
having a bit of a giggle.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anywhere to go here, so I guess he's
all I can think of is he just wants to give Blaze a bit of solo XP. I mean, if there is a tactical decision behind it, I don't know. Sometimes I also like to make fun of my jungler for no reason.
That's true. I feel like
but I'm toxic, so
he just doesn't have anywhere to go, so he's just making sure that at least, you know, Diana's not gonna pop over the wall or something. So
yeah, maybe it's a protect thing. Yeah.
And in the meantime, we do have the lanes, as we expected. Rest doing pretty well for himself, and Orianna coming up to a big CS lead. Kind of normal in these lanes. So I feel like CFO is going to be able to, at some point, just leverage this into the first Herald. I think that's going to be the next point of contest for these two teams. And with both soul lanes pushing, they should get it relatively easy.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much of a problem for them. As you mentioned, though, Impunity do want to, like, overall, they wanted to slow things down a little bit. They've gotten a little bit of an edge for themselves, but it doesn't mean too much. However, you know, there's a lot of game to go before they get to that power spike, before they get to the level where they can really execute that triple dive. So they've calmed down for just a moment. I am a little worried about when Taco will become relevant, because he did kind of set himself back. Level 6, yeah. I don't know how big the experience gap is going to be, but I would certainly wager that Gemini will be the first one to be able to get an active hand in any of these lanes.
The two big plays that are coming up, I think, are both on CFO side. The Herald #1, and the second big play is Diana hitting level 6 first. Taco, in terms of the EXP, he should be behind. We see him about 1 camp there. And interestingly enough, Gemini's not even going to wait. He's just going straight in.
Yeah, they're going to go for it as they've caught on to Kralix and look for a little revenge. Gemini is going to be able to make that kill happen at level 5, looking for Blaze now. He may not have the Moonfall, but he's certainly got a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's just trying to leash off the wave, and that's going to be the first trade going directly towards them as well. You know, Mission has this wave completely shoved in. I don't see Taco being able to get in here. He doesn't have that level 6 just yet, so I don't even think he could go for a steal. Doesn't even have the flash, so just has to walk away.
This is a good play for CFO. I mean, I don't think the expectation was really there that Diana was going to be able to do much pre-6. Sometimes just going a little against the expectation throws people off enough to where you can make the play. CFO getting a little bit of an advantage in the gold, also picking up that Infernal Dragon. Faith a little behind on not only farm, but also his health bar here, and Koala sniffing around to see if he could do something about it.
Very difficult for Rise to walk up against this wave.
Well, they want to dive this.
I don't think they have the damage just yet. Yeah, they're going to call this one off. It's a little bit dangerous for them. I think just zoning is good enough. They should be able to take the turret plate, and Koalas will be there for moral support, and just in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, get that one plate, walk away happy, just start to build those little advantages. And again, it is about getting out of this lane, getting into the mid game where you're going to have your power spikes, and you can just try to flex on Impunity. So far, so good.
And this is a huge purchase here coming in from Diana. Let's see what she gets. Hits level 6 before Taco. Does get the Hextech Accelerator, and it's a good chunk of burst damage. We already see the pings going down. The top side is where Diana is going to be headed, and this should just be a Herald play right up. But we do see Krelix moving up there as well. So, interesting scenario right here. We actually are going to find ourselves in a 3v3 situation.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of skirmishes. That's what we like to see here in the PCS. It's going to be the back away, though. However, for Krelix, not fully committing to this one. As you mentioned, Herald seems to be the item du jour here for the CTBC side. Gemini going to go ahead and clear through his camps. Meanwhile, Blaze a little bit locked up under tower down bottom side. They've been able to keep up in most of these lanes except the mid, and I think, as you mentioned, that's not too out of the ordinary for the Ryze versus Orianna matchup.
Yeah, the CS difference is a little bit worrying. Usually Ryze, once he hits the level 7 mark, he can wave clear a lot better, so really should be behind that far normally in this matchup, but being pushed in is generally considered the way things go. Now CFO are bringing their support here, so this is going to be a much more difficult contest, and I don't think Impunity should be able to start this one.
Well, they are going to go for it here as Taco takes the initiative, but now in this 3v3, they're going to have to pull back a little bit. This might even bring both the top laners in line if they want to. Instead, they actually decide to try and make a play onto Rest, who dashes and throws a big collateral damage to chase them all away. Meanwhile, CTBC just say, all right, thanks for the leash.
Yeah, kind of a low percentage play from Impunity there. I felt like they had a chance if they were going in on CFO that were starting the Herald, but them starting the Herald themselves, I feel like that kind of ran them out of options. Once again, Impunity are playing for the late game. Like, they don't even really need this Herald, they just need the Herald to not go terribly for them. So, a bit of a head scratcher, and they're trying to get that play back against Rest, who is completely fine. And no one's defending mid. And Blaze is dead.
Okay, well. All right, Clement, I think we need to start queuing the Yakety Sacks here, although Blaze is going to turn this one. Atlan forced into tanking tower shots. They didn't juggle the aggro effectively. Does walk away with his life, but no summoner spells.
Yeah, that was kind of terrible
play
play from CFO. Somehow Koala wasn't tanking, Atlan got exhausted, and he didn't land any of the crowd control. So, I guess disaster averted for Impunity? You remember at the start of the game where I was saying about early objectives? Like, I would be totally fine if Impunity don't even try to contest them. They sunk so many resources into that Herald play, got absolutely nothing out of it, and nearly got their bottom lane blown up. So, yeah, that was not a great sequence from Impunity.
They got to take it easy. Got to slow things down. Again, you're going to have that late game scaling on your side, but for the time being, things are starting to get a little tense. Gemini, lead the pack in the gold game at the moment, should have his rocket belt soon enough, and that means he can really start opening up onto this team. And that is a terrifying statement when you're talking about Gemini, one of the best junglers, if not the best jungler in the league at the moment. Another dragon going to be on the table in about 30 seconds or so. It is an Ocean Drake.
Yeah, the rocket belt is when Diana really starts to get very dangerous. She still has her flash as well. And we could see the Orianna combo just go in onto the enemy very easily, where I feel like Faith is going to be the main target here. It doesn't have a lot of escapes there. And there's a sizable chunk of burst damage coming in. Like, the interesting thing about Impunity is in the late game where you do have your Hollowed Mist and you have your Undying Rage, the burst combination from CFO is actually not very effective. But in the mid phases of the game where just chunking your HP is enough, it's still going to be really deadly.
Yeah. At the moment, not a whole lot Impunity can do. They're going to try and dive up onto the top side. Quiet is there to help take down Rest, and man, he really needs the Undying Rage. But they are able to stop it. Meanwhile, Blaze is trying to clear through as Koala was looking for a dive. Kralix does come back to the rescue, but this tower, very low on bottom. They may have to cede control. Gemini solos out the Ocean Dragon at the same time.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to see from Impunity. They're trading away resources. They're saying, hey, you know what? They're probably going for Drake at this point. We're just going to go trade top lane. But unfortunately for them, their bottom lane is also leaking out a lot of resources here. So I think overall, if you look at the gold, CFO probably do get a little bit more out of it, but it's still Impunity actually trading rather than just giving up objectives.
Yeah, at the moment, it's looking a little bit tough to try and do anything on the map, but they just need to lose not so fast. maybe take it easy.
Exactly, and you know, this is going a little bit fast for CFO. I think the 2 Drakes are
what?
Ooh, Taco?
Taco, yep, he knows he's a dead man. You can be immune in your mist, but you can't really stop anyone from getting in there.
Yeah, when Diana can kind of just solo you inside your fist, there's
yeah, that's the thing. Diana doesn't really care about Gwen because you want to get in Gwen's face. Oh, good flash out of Koala to stop what could have been a potential death on the support as he overstepped his bounds a little bit, but really far push here. Oh boy.
Yeah, I think the problem really is the Drake stack is coming in a little bit too fast now. So if you look at the timers, it's going to be about 20 minutes when CFO can get 20 minutes they can get Dragon Soul. So if I'm thinking about playing 1-3-1, that's a little bit too fast of a timer to contend with. I'm sitting at 1 mythic and half an item. That's not really when Tryndamere and I think Gwen wants to fight just yet. So the key thing for Impunity coming up in the next couple of minutes is definitely going to be trying to steal that Drake or trying to find a pick and allow themselves to get the Drake uncontested.
Yeah, if they can get... I mean, we have seen some encouraging signs from some of the 5v5s that Impunity have pulled off in like the early and maybe like, you know, early mid-game. Question is, do they overall kind of have the ability? I feel like you need to go in with Quiet and Taco, take out a prio target like Atlan really quickly, or maybe neutralize Gemini, get him off Blaze and Faith. If you can do that, maybe they can win these fights, win these skirmishes, but they're focusing elsewhere on the map. In fact, they're stacking 3 topside at the moment, but nobody's there to take the bait.
Yeah, I like the timer for this, so they're setting up for a Herald play that will allow them to open up these lanes a little bit more. The idea here is really good. Let's see if CFO fall for this, though. Koala doesn't have a flash.
He doesn't, and he's going to try to get out of there. They will be able to take him down, even though he gets the Grail on, turning their target's attention immediately to Atlan. Teleport coming in for a little bit of relief. Do they have enough? Oh, Gemini's coming up huge, but Quiet says, oh, no, you don't. And they will be able to walk away with the win. And as Mission comes in for relief, they get out through the Rise escape.
And this is what we wanted to see from Impunity, just delaying the tempo by setting up these plays. They know that CFO are done with the bot lane. It's way too pushed up. They can't send their bottom lane there. So they preemptively know and they can read that the bot lane is coming top in preparation of this Herald. This is an incredibly genius play from Impunity. Koala just burned a needless flash earlier. He gets tanked down by Kralix, and they also portion the crowd control so well here. The ultimate goes on Atlan, who is the next one to fall, and Quiet can survive through the burst onto Gemini. Just so well played here by Impunity. They get the kills, they slow down the Herald timing, and they also set up for some potential kills more into this Drake fight, as, you know, Gemini is not going to have his flash to engage here.
Yeah, no, that was really good. All across the board. Safe escape using Faith's ultimate as well. And Kralix really good on setting up not only that play, but the follow-up. And now Quiet's playing with some confidence as he chases Rest away from the CFO jungle.
Yeah, there's not much that this Graves can do, even with the Hullbreaker right here. He is going into a 1v2. I just love the fact that all of our top laners are just like skipping Mythics and going Hullbreaker directly. It's the item's a little bit busted, a little bit too cost-effective, and just a fun tidbit. In Mandarin, this item is actually called the Axe of the Orphan because it looks like you have no family members, you never get to see anyone, and you just split push your entire life.
That is so sad. God.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's also people like just really despising the item because of how. Honestly, it's kind of brain dead. Like you just kind of outvalue people and just shove them.
Look, top laners have had to live without interacting with a whole lot of people for a long time. Clement, I feel like they deserve something stupid busted. But you know what? That's just me. That's just my biased Season 2 Singed main talking.
Now you don't even have to interact with your lane opponent, so yeah, I guess it fits the...
Oh, I never did, by the way. I just dirty farmed. Anyways, Shelly's doing work right now, by the way. CDBC want to speed things up, as they did get the Herald a little later than they would have liked. However, look what's going on down here. Taco and Quiet are going to try to cut down the Drake timer a little bit by taking out this mountain. Sure, they sack some towers for it, but again, it's all about slowing it down just a little bit on the objective times. And honestly, that one was nice and safe and easy, considering no one could react to it.
I actually like this play from Impunity's side. I feel like they got the better side of the trade here. As long as they don't get anyone caught by Gemini, Slowing down that that extra 5 minutes to get everyone to farm up a little bit more is massive for champions like Gwen. She's going to be able to get that Omni-Vamp Mythic down as well. So yeah, I actually think that, you know, this is really well handled by Impunity, and this is what we're saying, that Impunity is not the team that blows up early game anymore from 2021 summer.
Yeah, no, this is a really good start. I almost want to say this might be the closest anyone's really been able to keep it to CTBC. I mean, Meta Falcon team, of course, and Frank Esports opening the week, they both got beaten about 24 minutes apiece. We saw earlier Sem9 getting kind of ran over by this squad. I don't know. Maybe we're seeing a challenge here from Impunity. It's early to say, but there is a timer on this game clock that Impunity will find favor them the more this game goes on. And they have slowed it down a little bit. They're making the meta plays. They're making the trades. They're no longer doing these weird, let's go ahead and scrap with you for no reason. And they're patient. This is not the Impunity of summer. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better in their lanes, and their coordination is much more fluid across the map. They still can't take a head-on fight with CFO right now. I still think they just need to do what they've been doing. These are very long lanes. They can just pick up their towers. They're gonna have to give away their jungle, but it's fine on that point. They just want to make sure that Quiet is getting enough farm, and because Rest is going for the Hull Breaker, and he's also getting pushed in at the same time, he's actually not getting a lot of value from that item, you know? You don't get the bonus resistances when you are joining your team, so this is not a great look for Rest. Yes, he might have been okay in the early game, but now in this mid and late game where he's losing control of his own jungle, his item build is actually very inefficient.
He can't really contest all that well, which is going to present a challenge as these side lanes continue to be pressured. They've actually got Faith on top side. One key thing that CFO will have going for them is that, well, I was about to say they should have a teleport advantage, then I remembered, wait a minute, Rest is also running Ghost, so never mind. This is going to be pretty well matched pressure-wise on the side.
This is actually great from Quiet. He doesn't have vision behind him,
Yeah,
but he's got the spider senses, so he gets out at the exact right moment, and I don't think he's going to get caught. He still has Undying Rage for this.
He's fine. Wait. He can 1v1 Gemini, though. Oh, he's not going to. He is going to play it safe. Oh, and he is living up to his name. Oh, so Quiet. Sneaky, sneaky.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I feel like Impunity will be a playoff team. I actually feel like Quiet's... Oh. Man.
Whoa, Faith! And Taco comboing up on a mission here. Needlework's not going to connect, but I don't think it needs to. All they can do is line it right up. What a beautiful catch.
Yeah, even though Faith doesn't get the overload, it doesn't matter. He got everything that actually counted. The crowd control goes down, the Everfrost goes down. Now Gemini wants to take down Taco.
He should be able to get him here, and yeah, Faith is like, all right, good luck, buddy. So 1 for 1 at the end of the day, but again, Impunity, they're finding little advantages. Yeah, they're down in gold. Yeah, they can't take a 5v5, but they don't need to.
Yeah, really don't. They just keep running this play over and over again, and it's now time for CFO to really push the issue here. If you look at the Drakes, even if they get both of them, it still gives a lot of farming time over to Impunity, so they might just be going directly for the Baron. They don't want to wait any longer.
Yeah, and look at this, Quiet. He knows something's up, has to start running for it, but it's already gone down to half. I don't think they're going to get here in time to try and pull off a steal. Taco wouldn't even be able to. A desperation Hail Mary True Shot Barrage means absolutely nothing, and CFO managed to snag that before anyone can react on the Impunity side.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. With the empowered minions, that means goodbye to Tryndamere split pushing. And unfortunately, I feel like Impunity played a little bit loose with that Tryndamere that does not have the teleport. So I think they didn't really factor that into their calculations, and because of that, they will be losing out on the Baron. However, if they can survive the Baron, remember there really aren't that many outer towers anymore. So this Baron, I don't expect a huge amount of gold going over to CFO. If that Baron wears off and Impunity just traded 2 towers for it, it actually is an okay trade.
Yeah, they knocked down the towers. They knocked down the towers that were like... The mid one was pretty close to falling over, but that bottom tier 2, I think, was the key. The fact that Quiet could stay just long enough to finish it, that was big. I don't feel like you want to contest this if you're Impunity. You bought yourself some time by taking that last mountain. Maybe... There's not much else they can get on the map, though. That's the issue.
Yeah, I feel like they just do a ward clear journey to the top side. They know that no one's going to contest here. You pick up a couple pinks. They'll still add up to cash, and call it a day. At this point, I think Impunity probably understand that they're not going to be able to hold on to their bot lane tower. So what they should be doing is kind of like a 4-1 spread. Maybe have one person, most likely Rise because Faith does have the teleport here, split pushing, and the other 4 members on defense.
Yeah, it looks like this bot tier 2 is going to be made short work of by the entire team of CFO, True Shot Barrage. Going to tickle the minions just a little bit. That's about it. You've kind of got to defend here, though, and I think they're going to be calling for Quiet to come back, maybe go for a flank or something. This is obviously not a fight Impunity want to take, but it's being brought to their doorstep.
Yeah, they don't have the best of wave clear right here. Rise needs to walk up, but he will be in Orianna range, and Gemini is looking for that potential engage, and he goes.
Yeah, he's going to get rooted, though. Goes golden on this. Now Krelix is going to cover it up. Here we go. They've actually got Taco separating the rest of the squad. Now Gemini is going to fall down. However, is there enough damage left in the CFO bank tank to make it happen? Quiet going to fall down after his Undying Rage peters out. And it's a 4v4 right now. I think both teams got more than they bargained for there, Clement. And we're not done yet. The party portal only taken by Taco. It's like he baited himself.
The communication from Impunity just a little bit off. I felt like they had a great start. If they just took down Gemini, that would have been a +1 on that trade. They would have stopped the Baron from doing any more damage. But unfortunately, I felt like Quiet's trade and Taco's trade in the back end of that were not exactly worthwhile. We'll watch this again. Prolix goes in, but does get baited out by the stasis right here. And after Taco backs off, I don't actually think Quiet needs to go in here. Yeah, he definitely didn't need to go that deep. They would have gotten the Gemini kill regardless. So afterwards, CFO is willing to just walk back in. It is a 1-for-1 trade in the end for Taco, so it's like not completely worthless, but at the same time, you kind of feel like they could have done more if they just played it a little bit more patiently.
Yeah, or just committed one way or the other. Yeah, that was weird. Like, Faith throws down the portal and then kind of walks north, and Taco's like, wait, I thought we were... Oh, never mind. Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate.
There was no bounty on Atlan either, and no sums either, so... I don't know, it felt kind of weird. Like, Taco didn't really trade anything, so... Yeah, I think overall, like, Impunity, they could have done a little bit more for that, but, just nitpicking, they still stopped the charge regardless, and that's actually a pretty huge setup, because now Atlan has 0 summoners, and he's going to be facing up against Quiet, Taco, and Faith, so there's a lot of dive potential to just instantly kill Atlan, and Gemini and Mission only have burst damage afterwards, so if they can get the only source of sustained damage off of CFO, there could be a potential to just outright win a team fight.
Yeah, Atlan on this Aphelios has not really been able to do as much as he would have liked this game. Like, Blaze has actually been having a pretty decent game, and you look at the item difference as he picks up his Mythic, the Crown of the Shattered comes through for the Ezreal. We're starting to get into that point of the game where the power spikes are going to start flipping a little bit. The decision-making, definitely needs a bit of improvement still, but Impunity should start to have the ability. They've lasted out the Baron buff. They did lose, a tier 2 and an inhibitor turret down bot, but crucially they stopped super minions from charging, and that does relieve a lot of pressure.
Yeah, what this Crown of the Shattered Queen does do is it basically means Impunity is now completely immune to the burst damage from CFO. There's no way you're going to kill this Ezreal, or this Ryze, or this Tryndamere or Gwen in one go. So CFO have to rely on the sustained damage from Atlan, and that's a big question. I really want to see if Atlan is going to be able to carry this team through.
Well, Quiet, though. Gets himself into a 1v2, but he's all right. He's out. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to be putting a lot on the back of Atlan. He's delivered so far in his CFO performance, but will it be enough for the rest of the squad? CTBC, Flying Oyster, looking like their next best bet, trying to secure that mountain. We'll give them the Dragon Soul on it, so that'll certainly help them knocking down some towers. Baron's also going to be on the cards in another 20 seconds as well, but this is the time for Impunity to be able to contest these objectives, as long as they're in the right place.
Yeah, what CFO really want to do is just rush this Drake down before there's any chance of Impunity trying to fork them with the Baron. So I think they're just going to push and go. At this point, CFO should still be relatively confident in their ability to take this one if they are the ones that are setting up the terrain first. Like, walking through Orianna is still going to be a tall task for them, And you can see Rest already placing down the smoke screen on the ramp as well. They should just start this. I think for Impunity, their move is actually to bait towards the top side, where the vision is going to be lacking for CFO.
They are going to actually take the portal here, and they will start off on the Baron. The question is this a commitment or is this a feint? CFO have to react to it. There's a lot of damage. They will kind of give the game up, actually. They don't want to take a 5v5.
Yeah, I don't think the direct Baron start was the play that was called for. I feel like they could have sort of waited and try to flank CFO as they walk in. But starting the Baron, they're not a fast Baron taking team. If you think about Ezreal, it's not really the kind of percent HP or sustained damage that you're looking for to enable that play. And CFO just called them on their bluff immediately.
Yeah, they are not going to go for this one. Again, it's waiting for a little more time. You don't want to give the Baron away, but you certainly don't want to get yourself into a bad situation inside the pit while you're tanking damage and all the debuffs from the big purple worm.
I did want
to
see
just
them
hit 16.
Flank from the banana brush, potentially. That opportunity was actually very good for Impunity because that was the moment where Atlan was still lacking both of his summoners. Unfortunately for Impunity, Atlan now has his flash back up, and that window kind of closes. Now it's CFO's turn to do the same and just set this 5v5 up for themselves.
Should be feeling pretty confident in their ability to do it. Burst damage may not work necessarily well against the side of Impunity right now, but it will certainly work well against Baron Nashor, and they are already getting it down. 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. You got to go now if you want to make the play, and it's already too late. Smited down, teleport. They're going to go for the fight. Anyways, they do catch Mission in the back of the pit, and it looks like they are on top of him with the shockwave spent on 2. He's still going to flash his way out, but they take down Gemini and don't lose anyone just yet. That was a close call. CFO gets Baron on 4. Will they get out with everyone else? The answer seems yes.
Yeah, it does look like they will make a pretty nifty escape right here. Gemini falling down was a little bit surprising for me. I feel like at this stage of the game he should have some sort of a stasis or like a stopwatch ready, but apparently he didn't really have it right there. It's very common to see the Zhonya's coming in as the third item, but maybe he just didn't click it in time, or maybe he wasn't able to flash out. We'll check in the replay what had happened here. I'm kind of surprised that Gemini would just go down like that in this stage of the game here. Mission did a really good job escaping the entire enemy team. You know, he gets the flash here, gets Quiet to fully commit to him, and then flashes out himself. So well done by Mission to escape everything. Let's watch how Gemini actually goes down here. Oh, Gemini's already dead.
Bursted. He got bursted real fast. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, he had the Zhonya's the whole time, but he just didn't click it in time.
Okay. Well, guess it happens. Now we
every once in a while, we just can't hit the button fast enough.
I think he can take these with both of his summoners up.
I don't think he wants to.
Yeah, he knows that there is probably more enemies in his own jungle, so he is just going to go back to a defensive posture here.
Rest is going to be able to get this push on, and this is what CFO game plan is going to be. Let's go for pushing as hard as possible. Get that Baron power play in the positive. They've also got the Mountain Soul. This is about as strong as you're going to get because the scaling starts to take over after a matter of time. This is already one of the longest games, the longest game I believe that CFO have had to face in the PCS Spring Split. Blaze taking a little bit low here as they try to defend the tower, but Taco and Kralix will cover for the time being. Shockwave is going to get spent, but it only pulls in Kralix. And that's a crucial cooldown that, at least for a little bit, they wanted to worry about on the Impunity side.
Yeah, 3 ultimates for 2 here, and Impunity using 1 more, but they will get it quickly back from Blaze. The problem now is that Blaze is really very close to being bursted down.
Oh, Kralix! He just gets deleted. They're going to bring Ryze to the back. They have to go. This is the time. However, they get just yoinked in as Atlan goes into stasis himself and baits the rest of the team. The desperation trigger is pulled. But unfortunately, it's Impunity that gets shot in the foot.
Yeah, the timing on that play was a little bit off. I think Kralix going in just a little bit early, and the rest of the bruisers are super easy to focus down. The support is dead. Didn't really get the crowd control down. And even with CFO just stacking up the Moonfall and the Shockwave, they're still able to burst down both bruisers and keep Atlan alive at the same time. Great quadra kill from Atlan, and there goes the question. Can CFO rely on Atlan to be a soul carry in the late game? I think we have a very solid answer in this game.
Yes, we do, Clement. And Impunity, a much better game from them than I think we might have expected coming into this. We saw the same strengths and unfortunately the same weaknesses. Just miss execution in crucial moments. And it feels bad because it's the worst way to lose when it feels like it's so close and you're up against an opponent that by all rights looks a lot stronger than you. And then they just make one fatal error and it costs them the game.
Yeah, I feel like the Baron play was definitely the one where they sort of mismanaged their resources a little bit. Going directly for the Baron was never going to work out. Right in front of CFO's faces. I feel like they were going for a very opportunistic steal, banking on CFO just basing after they secured the soul. But CFO was well aware that the potential for Baron was there, and they kind of realm warped right in front of a minion wave. It was completely envisioned, and they... for that play, I think I would have preferred if they actually set up and try to ambush Atlan. We're going to watch the last play again. Kralix goes in super early, dies before... Well, he actually used his ultimate on the previous play, but just dies before anything gets accomplished right here. Atlan, very cleverly with the stopwatch, is able to survive. And even though the crowd control, you can see it's like layered, they don't get full duration on any of these channels, it doesn't matter. They're so far ahead in terms of gold, in terms of numbers. They're just able to completely wipe this triple dive team comp.
You want to talk about burst? Tryndamere didn't even get to ult in that one. That was just about how rough it turned out at the end. So unfortunately, Impunity, yeah, a couple mistakes really ended up costing them. But again, I think the fact that they were able to tangle at all with the likes of CFO just shows that this is a team that is definitely developed with their new talent into the spring split. And I really want to see more from them. I think against weaker opponents, we're going to see them have a much easier time. But for CTBC Flying Oyster, I mean, not a bad start. 4-0 now. They find themselves in this. I think this is the one they had to work the most for, to be honest. And I'm a little surprised by that, but it is what it is.
Surprisingly enough, Impunity were the one, I think, to push CFO the most in terms of the drafts. Like, it's a really smart draft. They forced CFO into compromising positions on multiple fronts, you know, taking away their late game scaling, making sure Gemini cannot impact the game early, and then forcing them to rely on Atlan as their only source of sustained damage. Like, if you can do that in a draft, that really improves your chances against CFO. I think the only thing, once again, is that, you know, giving up that Baron play was just way too huge because they couldn't stretch the game out anymore by going through these side lanes. So that was ultimately their downfall, but it was a very close game. And I really think if you're looking at Impunity, do not look at the 0-4 number and just write this team off. To me, this is a team with a lot of upside and potential to overtake others in the standings.
And it's going to be a long split, right? We are going to see this team grow and develop. I'm really excited to see what the future holds for them. And even though, as you said, yeah, they have started winless and still continue to be winless, there's a lot of chances for them to improve. There's a lot to like on this team. Definitely a squad you should not be sleeping on. But of course, a squad that no one is sleeping on is CTBC Flying Oyster, as they now are continuing an undefeated streak to start things off. This is a squad that's just so packed with talent, and you could see it here. Even though they were forced into some compromising positions, they trusted enough to make the plays. A couple mistakes here, there. Again, the biggest thing for me is just Atlan, the question mark. Maybe we were wrong, like Atlan looks just as good as everybody else in these 4 games.
This is such a weird game because if you look at the numbers, Impunity actually out-damaged CFO. So they were winning on the side lanes, but the only problem is this: when it came to the team fights, Orianna really didn't need to do that much. Just lay down the crowd control, and that was enough. Only 4,000 damage from Mission, and they still win the game. Our person of the week in week 1, now MVP again from Gemini here. Just great stats across the board. 28% of his team's damage coming from this Diana, and a well-deserved MVP.
Yeah, I think it took him a little while to get going, but once he was able to do it, he was able to get into his old ways, start flexing on the opposition. Really good play from him. The burst still came through, even though it wasn't supposed to, even though there should have been buttons to click. Of course, he didn't get his own stopwatch. That's okay. He made sure to delete the Tryndamere in the end before he could get off the ultimate as well. So great plays from Gemini. We continue to see why we have rated him so highly in the league. And CTBC Flying Oyster, it's a 2-0 day for them. They can certainly go home happy. And they even found a few things maybe they could work on, because I think they were challenged more than they would have expected from an Impunity side.
Yeah, I feel like that Orphan Axe was a little bit too early. There's a reason, like, you don't build Orphan Axe on the first item, is because the game can go horribly wrong, and you have to join the team with an item that's, like, only worth 50% of its value. So, I think Rest can tone down kind of the BM, Like, BMing when you're 10,000 gold ahead and BMing on your first item is... it makes a difference.
Get a little confident, right? Well, we are really just steamrolling our way through the week, and we have an absolutely fantastic game up next. Deep Cross Gaming taking on Meta Falcon team. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss it.